I believe in a couple minutes we will be getting started. Do we want to do that now?
Are we ready for the pledge?
That's not what the frickin' list says.
It don't matter, but that's what we're going to do.
Oh.
We're doing showmanship and then feeder calves?
Quick reminder, we are going to do showmanship and then feeder calves, so we're switching the two. Showmanship first and then feeder calves after the bucket calf. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before we get going, can I have everybody rise, remove cover, and we will say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Play ball. For our bucket calves, we have two entries, Katie Schmidt and Brogan Weber. You young people may enter the ring now.
First call in the beef barn for feeder calves. Dawson Sedman, Class 1. Hayden Hubbard, Class 2. Gavin Rhoda and Braden Jacobson will be in Class 3. First call for Class 1, Dawson Sedman for feeder calves.
Oh, them some good looking calves. I can't believe they're actually halter broke. Now, I will remind our young ladies, look at the judges once in a while. Look at the judge, and then she can tell you what she wants. That's the way, girls. Oh, you girls are doing good.
In the beef barn. Attention in the beef barn. The exhibitors for showmanship are actually going in front of the feeder calves. First call, senior showmanship. First call, senior showmanship. The order today is going to go bucket calves, showmanship, feeder calves, and then
Well, good morning. It's certainly a pleasure to be here in Cheyenne today to sort through your livestock show and, more importantly, work with the young kids in the agriculture industry. And not a better way to start off the morning than here with your bucket calves. Just to describe them briefly to you, the young lady's black calf here in the front that's going to go ahead and start is very, very intriguing just in terms of that one's shape of its head and neck. The angles of its skeleton are very, very nice. Reads to be a bright future for that young lady. And then the young lady behind her brings us a bigger outline type of heifer that's very, very good. And the angles of her skeleton, long spine, both ribbed. But both young ladies are doing a very, very good job. If you would, give those two a round of applause.
All right, good job, young ladies. Senior showmanship will be next. Senior showmanship.
Senior showmanship. We need Macy Lee Master, Braden Jacobson, Gavin Broda, Brianna Hollingsworth, Gage Broda, Hayden Hubbard to the ring. Senior showmanship. We need you to the ring. Jamie. I'm sorry. I should have caught her. How did they keep track of placings over there? Second call, senior showmanship. Second call, senior showmanship. Jamie. That was a screw up on my part. But we just said we wanted to show ordering. We just got that changed.
Oh, so perfectly fine. Is there just one heat per division so I know if I need to call
So we
kids back?
have 6 in the first in the seniors, 4 in intermediate,
Okay.
and then
8. I'm scratching that one.
8 in the juniors.
Okay. So it'll just be yep. So then I'll just bring a reserve so I know.
Of each division,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
First call. First call, intermediate showmanship. First call, intermediate showmanship. Seniors, third call, seniors to the ring. Senior showmanship, third call to the ring.
She asked if you turn your mic off in between because she can hear you on the live screen when you guys are talking.
Son of a. Tell her I didn't mean it. Right, who's our senior showman? Right here. All right, our senior showman should be ready to enter the ring. We will have Macy Lee Master, Braden Jacobson, Gavin Broda, Brianna Hollingsworth, Gage Broda, and Hayden Hubbard.
I apologize. I had
Just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, we have Rugged Grace Photography in the arena. And our photographer's name is Kelly, and she highly supports FFA and 4-H. And all the images she makes today will be free to competitors and those who support them. So a big thank you to Rugged Grace Photography. All right, I believe our showmanship entries are entering the ring.
second call, intermediate showmanship. Second call, intermediate showmanship. Riley Vetter, Hudson Wright, Trix Sedman, Adeline Crowder. Second call, intermediate showmanship. First call, junior showmanship. First call, junior showmanship. Braden Vetter, Wilson Ashley Defoe, Dawson Sedman, Olivia Wright, Grace Berry, Micaiah Wright, and Connor Olaveson. showmanship. Third call, intermediate showmanship. Second call, junior showmanship. Second call, junior showmanship.
Very, very good group of senior showmanship to go ahead and start your showmanship divisions. Before I get you a grand reserve, I'll just share with you a couple things I'm looking for moving forward throughout the showmanship. So as soon as you come into the ring, I want you to be able to make direct eye contact with me and knowing where I'm at in the ring throughout the duration of your class, and then just making sure your animal is set up at all times, either just walking that animal into place and not having to poke and prod at their feet and legs. And it's not really about how fast you can set up your animal, but it's about who can do it to their best ability to give me the best look of their animal possible is basically what I'm looking for. And then some other things, just hand control. The closer you can have your hand to that cattle or calf's nose as possible, it just gives you more head control. Is things I'm looking for. But you seniors are doing a great job. If you guys would ringside, give these 6 in the ring a big round of applause, and I'll go ahead and show you a grand reserve.
All right, hopefully you intermediate and junior showmen were paying attention to what she wants. Our champion, senior showman, Brianna Hollingsworth. Our reserve champion, senior showman, Braden Jacobson.
Final call, intermediate showmanship. Final call, intermediate showmanship. Please be at the waiting area in the showroom. Third call, junior showmanship. Third call, junior showmanship.
Okay, Jamie is just going to pick the champion and reserve, and after that, we are not placing, so we need junior, right? Junior showmanship? Intermediate showmanship into the ring. We have Riley Better, Hudson Wright, Trigg Sedman, and Adeline Crowder.
showmanship exhibitors, please be making your way to the holding area. Junior showmanship, please be making your way to the holding area.
We get out here in the intermediate showmanship, and just a trio of them and a heifer acting up, probably because she sees the out gate. So just allow her to go at the end of the line. Because what I'll do is just give the exhibitor the best chance to get their animal parked on profile, give me the best look possible. So that being said, I think the intermediates listened to the advice I gave to the seniors, but they're all three doing a very, very good job. I think there's just two of them out here that just get their animal set up a nickel better in terms of walking them into place. But if you would, give these trio a round of applause, and I'll go ahead and show you a grand reserve.
Riley Vetter is our champion intermediate showman. Trig Sedman is our reserve champion. Congratulations, Riley and Trig. And now we'll be entering our junior beef showmanship. We are going to have Braden Vetter, Camden Wilson, Asher Defoe, Dawson Sedman, Livia Wright, Grace Berry, Micaiah Wright, and Connor Olevison. So if we could get our junior showman into the ring.
First call, class 1 for feeder calves, Dawson Sedman. First call, class 1 for feeder calves, Dawson Sedman.
Now, I've been told that we're going to have two classes of junior showmen. So, Jamie, however you want to work that, pick the top two or whatever to come back.
We get out here in your first heat of junior showmanship, and all of them are doing a very, very good job, even if they're having troubles with their animal behaving. Probably just a new ring and just feel a little frisky. But I think there's two of them out here that'll get called back just in terms of having their animal set up at all times, not necessarily because they have the most control of them, but just because they have their animal set up at all times and know where I am. So the two here to my far right will come back in contention for your overall junior showman. But the ones that are not getting come back, don't hang your hat because maybe your animal's not behaving the best, but that doesn't really matter. Just move forward with it and don't just get discouraged because you got a long future ahead. But if you would, give the four a big round of applause.
Okay, Grace Berry and Asher Defoe will be coming back after our second round of Junior Showman. So, Grace and Asher, keep your animals ready. Now, Heat 2 of our Junior Showman will be Dawson Sedman, Braden Vetter, Camden Wilson, and Micaiah Wright.
We get these four junior showmen out here, and although the heifers are kind of fighting the kids, I think all four are doing a very, very good job. And with that being said, I can't sit here and tell you something they did wrong, because they have control. Even when they don't have control of their animal, they manage to get back in the group and get regrouped and have their animal set up. So what I'm going to do is have all four of these junior showmen come back out and kind of take a breath and get regrouped with the other two that got pulled back. So all four of you, my congratulations to you for fighting the battle with your calf, and you all will come back in contention for your overall junior showman. So if you would, give these four a big round of applause.
Okay, all four of you can stay here and we'll get our other two, Grace Berry and Asher Defoe. Please enter the ring. We will complete our junior showmanship. And I don't know if you guys have noticed it, but it's quite a difference between our senior showman and our junior showman. It's amazing what they learn in their years in 4-H and FFA.
First call, catch a calf entries. First call for the catch a calf entries. We have Gavin Rhoda, Brianna Hollingsworth, and Braden Jacobson. First call for the catch a calf entries.
We get out here in your junior showmanship drive, and I'm told I get to pick my top 4. But just a couple of things. Sorry for taking a little bit more time, but I just want to give these juniors the best experience possible when they come in the ring, even if their calf is giving them a little hard time. All 6 of you are doing a very, very good job, and the one thing I will tell you is just don't give up. And if your calf's not cooperating today, just don't hang your hat, because you guys got a long road ahead of you. The best thing you can do is just learn and move on and just learn from your experience here in your ring. So that's the things I'm going to tell you. Again, all 6 of you are doing a very, very good job. I'll go ahead and show you shake hands from 1 to 4 down. But if you guys would ringside, give all 6 of these juniors a big round of applause.
Braden Vetter, champion, junior showmanship. Camden Wilson, reserve champion. Dawson Sedman is 3rd. And Asher Defoe is 4th. Congratulations, junior showman. Okay, we are starting on our feeder calves, and we have Dawson Sedman with exotic bred steer. And she is in the corner. Dawson, I think you're going to do good in this class, girl. Well, sure, now it's leading. It's not showmanship.
We get started here in your feeder calf show with just a single entry. The young lady brings us but Simon showmanship, and the young lady's been doing a great job with them. The calf is very, very intriguing, and just in terms of profile, the shape of his head and neck, the angle to his shoulder, the set to his knee. He's really, really big-footed and still bowed in terms of his rib cage. I think only a matter of time. That calf is only going to continue to get better for that young lady, and she's doing a heck of a job, even if the calf's not wanting to cooperate at times. So if you would give her a big round of applause.
Okay, and now we have our catch a calf entries. These young people caught a calf down at the Denver Stock Show. They were awarded steers, and they will be showing them. Gavin Broda, Brianna Hollingsworth, Braden Jacobson. They will be showing them at State Fair and the Denver Stock Show. As well as here today. Here comes Gavin with his Hereford steer. Brianna with the Hereford steer and Braden with the Hereford steer.
2 years and over, Grace Berry. Second call, Black Angus, 2 years and over, Grace Berry. First call, Black Angus, spring yearling heifers. First call, Black Angus, spring yearling heifers. Grace Berry, Gage Broda, Brianna Hollingsworth.
All three of these critters were from the same breeder. Day Show Cattle out of Texas raised these steers.
We get started here in your catch a calf, and the young man here in the front that's going to go ahead and win. Now, I think is very, very intriguing just in terms of that guy's body shape, his bone work of the trio. He's by far the boldest, and the turn to his upper rib. He's the biggest in his upper hip, and then from the side, still very, very good. And the angles of that one, skeleton. He's really, really heavy bone. You know, he's not the most intriguing up front, and that's where I think the young lady here in second definitely has advantage just in terms of that guy's shape of his head and neck. He's very, very extended. Shoulder forward, length of spine, love him from like a skeletal speaking. Just need more of that guy in terms of forerib and true body shape, but like a lot of things parked on profile for him to go second. The young man that comes in third, very, very shapely and expressive out of the backside of his shoulder out to his pin set and lower quarter. Like all of them, like a lot of things about him from a shape perspective. Just need to change that guy and make him softer in terms of his heart, forerib, and rear flank, but definitely love the upper shape. Very, very good trio. If you would, give those three a round of applause.
All right, Braden Jacobson won the Catch a Calf contest with Brianna Hollingsworth, reserve champion. And just a quick side note, they were assigned these steers. There was no picking to it. They just show whatever they were given. So good job, young people. All right, we should have Grace Berry, I believe, coming into the ring.
Oh, champion feeder calf.
Oh, champion feeder calf is what we're doing next. That's Dawson.
Oh, Dawson and Braden go back in. Okay. I didn't think they were doing it overall. So, sorry.
So we have Braden Jacobson with the Hereford steer and Dawson Sedman with the, I believe, a Charlet Cross feeder steer. We're going to pick our champion feeder steer. And Brianna Hollingsworth with her Hereford steer.
We get the two classes back out here in the second in your catch a calf class, and I think a very, very good trio of them in here in the ring that represent different things and maybe have different target points. With the young lady with the feeder calf, I just talked about how intriguing that guy was just in terms of his build quality, and that age, he's still good in terms of the turn to his upper rib. He's big pinned, and just mostly speaking, he's very, very good and sound at the ground, which I like. And the young man here with the catch a calf just was so overwhelming in terms of that guy's rib cage. His pin set is still really, really good footed. He's big footed. He's sound, like all those things. Maybe not as intriguing to look at up front, but also represents very, very high quality stock. So just those two things in mind. Obviously, they have different endpoints, and weight is very, very different in this class. But I think there's two of them out here that are very, very intriguing just in terms of how they're built and what they represent. So the young man with the catch calf will go ahead and be your champion, and the young lady here out of the first class will be reserved. But if you would, give the trio of them a big round of applause.
Braden Jacobson, champion feeder steer. Dawson Sedman, reserve champion. All right, I understand we have a young lady that has to do some horse showing. So we're going to pull her class out and have her show her critter real quick.
Adeline Crowder.
Adeline Crowder will be showing
Red Angus.
a Red Angus. Now, I don't know what we're going to do for the overall, if she'll be done in time, but Adeline, we do need your Red Angus, maybe. I don't see a Red Angus.
Red. Okay. Perfect.
It might be a surprise to her as well as to us. I still see no Red Angus heifer coming. But while we're waiting, I would remind you that Rugged Grace Photography is taking pictures of everything happening here today. And if you want to see images, they're free. And you can see them at Rugged Grace Photography at gmail.com. Once again, we want to thank our buckle sponsors, Hollingsworth Angus. Every buckle awarded today comes from Hollingsworth Angus. We encourage everyone to attend the FFA Sale of Champions, 7 p.m. on Friday the 8th. And of course, the Laramie County Livestock Sale at 9 a.m. right here at the Event Center. All right, here comes that red Angus heifer. Adeline, I got high hopes for you in this class, girl.
Just a single entry here in your red show, but the young lady brings us a nice one that's just very, very practical in terms of how she's built. The angles of her skeleton are very good. She's really, really bold in terms of her forerib, upper rib. She's a big ping type heifer. You know, if you want to change that one, just extend her, not shoulder forward, but just functional brood type brood cow prospect for her. But if you would, give her a big round of applause and congrats on your champion, Red Angus.
Brian, could we see you at the announcer's station? Oh, okay. This is Grace Berry's heifer or cow, shown by Gavin. Gavin Broda is showing Grace Berry's cow. So here we go.
We get started here in your Angus show with a cow I think is very, very nice. I don't know ages, but very, very unique. Just on profile, the shape of that one's head and neck, the angles of her skeleton read very, very nice. The comfort and levelness of her spine, just profile strikes you very, very high quality. You know, if you want to change that one, just make her more even in terms of her udder development, especially her front quarter. But again, just profile and has high quality pieces, does a lot of things nice. So if you would, give him a round of applause.
Gavin, fine job of showmanship there.
We need Grace Berry, Gage Broda, Brianna Hollingsworth to the holding area. Grace Berry, Gage Broda, Brianna Hollingsworth to the holding area. Second call for Black Angus Junior Yearling Heifer. Second call for Junior Yearling Heifer for Black Angus, Gavin Broda, Brianna Hollingsworth.
So what we got next in the ring?
These three, Grace, Gage,
And the Black Angus spring yearling heifer. Next up is our spring yearling heifers in the Black Angus division. Grace Berry, Gage Broda, Brianna Hollingsworth. Looks like three pretty nice heifers entering the ring. Brandon Hollingsworth will win this class.
You get off here in your second class of Angus, and I think a very, very nice one to go ahead and start. Just parked on profile. The way she attaches her neck out of the top side of her shoulder, she's laid back in the angle to her shoulder, the set to her knee. She's incredibly bold in terms of her upper forerib, in terms of her midrib, and she's really, really big pinned. And parked, I like the build of her hip and hind leg. In motion, I just want to tweak her in terms of making her more comfortable in terms of her spine and square up from her hock all the way down to her pastern. But I'm parked on profile does a lot of things nice to go ahead and win this class, because the young lady that's going to come in second, I actually prefer that one's comfort of her lower joint work a nickel better than the one that's going to go ahead and win the class. Another one that's just very, very good in terms of her body shape. Just need to clean her up and make her fresher in terms of the shape of that one's head and neck, but just being functional at the surface. And in terms of her body shape, I like a lot of things about her to go second. And the young man that rounds out the class, length and comfort of spines, very, very good. Angles of skeleton, very nice. Just need to make her bolder in terms of her forerib and heart and drop her in the rear flank, but just functional type of cattle. If you would, give those three a big round of applause.
And just a reminder, our first and second place winners will come back for overall Angus, so keep that in mind, exhibitors. Again, Brianna Hollingsworth, first place. Grace Berry, second. Now we have our junior yearling heifer Black Angus, Gavin Broda and Brianna Hollingsworth. Gavin's heifer is kind of acting like anything I ever showed in showmanship.
Another good class of Angus. Going to go ahead and leave these two how they stand in. Start with the young lady in the blue shirt to go ahead and win. I think just a very, very nice one in terms of the refinement. That one's top side of her neck and in her head. The angle of her shoulder, the set to her knee. She's incredibly bold in the lower portion of her forerib and progresses back to a deeper flank. Profile does a lot of things nice. Very nice way to go ahead and start. And the young man's heifer that's giving him a hard time, if she just settles down, she's very, very nice. I love the shape of that one's head and neck. The angles of her skeleton read very, very good. Just need to make that one softer in terms of her lower rib, make her profile better, but a very, very good top or pair of them. If you would, give these two a big round of applause.
First, Brianna Hollingsworth. Second, Gavin Broda. And I believe we're going to pick our champion, Angus female, I believe. So all our first and second place winners can come back into the ring. And I was handed an earring. It's silver. That's about all I can tell you. If somebody has lost an earring, we have it up here at the announcer's table.
Does the earring match this one?
Yes. Is that yours? Our earring has been found. Okay, these are our first place winners of our 3 Angus female classes. We have Grace Berry, Brianna Hollingsworth, and Brianna Hollingsworth.
We get your 3 class winners back out here for your overall Angus, and I think all 3 of them are very, very nice. Just to talk them briefly, the young man with the cow that came out of the first class, we just talked on profile. I don't know ages, but just on profile, that thing, shape of her head and neck, the angle of her shoulder, the build of her hip and hind legs, very, very nice. Profile does a lot of things right. Nice. If you want to change her, you just like to make her bolder in terms of her rib cage and just more even in terms of her udder development, but on profile does a lot of things nice. And the young lady that came out of the second class, again, one that was just overwhelming in terms of her boldness to her forerib, her upper rib. She's a big pin type of heifer. On profile, her neck attachment's very, very nice. Maybe in motion, you want to change a couple things in terms of how she handled her spine and her rear hock and pastern. But on profile and from a rib shape perspective, I like that one a lot. And then the young lady also had the one that came out of class 3, just talked about how good she was in terms of the shape, the top side of her neck and of her head. She's really, really bold in the lower portion of her forerib and back to her rear flank, and you just liked a lot of things about her skeletal. You get her out here, and maybe you just want to make her bolder in terms of her upper rib, mid rib, and just more pin set, but also like a lot of things and pieces of her. Very, very high quality trio. I think there's one that just suits my kind a little better. The young lady at your second class will go ahead and be your champion, and then your third class will be your reserve. But if you would, give the trio of them a big round of applause.
Brianna Hollingsworth, champion and reserve champion, Angus female. Now entering the ring should be Grace Berry with a Angus bull calf. Here she comes. Well, maybe. The gatekeeper's kind of sleeping over there. Here we go.
Charlotte classes, we should have Trix Sidman in the holding area. Second class of Charlotte, Micaiah Wright. First call, Hereford Spring Yearling Heifer. First call, Hereford Spring Yearling Heifer, Asher Defoe.
Grace, you're doing a fine job, young lady.
Just a single entry bull calf, but I think a nice one. This young lady brought us just in terms of being built incredibly good. The angles of his skeleton, the comfort of his lower joints, and then from the side, still intriguing in terms of his look, shoulder forward, his length and comfort of spine, and still bold in terms of his upper rib. I think with future and time, he's going to continue to get better. So if you would, give her a big round of applause.
Congratulations to Grace Berry, our champion Angus bull.
Second call, Hereford Spring Yearling Heifer. Second call, Spring Yearling Heifer. For Hereford, Asher Defoe.
Now we have Trig Sedman with our exotic
Charlotte
Charlet.
Junior.
Charlet
Junior Yearling.
yearling heifer, junior yearling heifer. And a fine heifer it is.
The next one is not a heifer calf. It will be a spring yearling heifer.
What?
It's not a heifer calf.
The next one.
Yep, that one.
Just a single entry, but I think a very, very intriguing one, just in terms of that one's true power and width. She's really, really heavy boned. She's incredibly bold in her upper portion of her rib. She's huge pinned, got a lot of shape to her lower stifle. Just a big power cow, you know. And still, from the profile, I love the shape of her head and neck. You know, if you want to change her in motion, I just like to relax her in terms of her spine. But just in terms of having intriguing pieces in terms of bone work, body shape, and still good looking, she does a lot of things right. And so if you would, give him a round of applause.
Entering the ring now, we have Micaiah Wright with a spring yearling Charolais heifer.
First call, Maine Anjou, Maine Cross, Spring Yearling Heifer. First call, Maine Anjou, Maine Cross, Spring Yearling Heifer. Connor O'Lavison, Braden Vetter, Riley Vetter. First call, Maine Anjou, Maine Cross, Spring Yearling Heifer.
Another good single entry the young lady brings us, one you just gotta love in terms of her softness and depth to her rib cage. She's really soft in her forerib, rear flank, and still skeletal speaking, she's very, very comfortable in how she utilizes her lower joints. Just love her from a body shape and comfort and motion perspective. You know, if you want to change her, you just like to peel back some chest and crest and make her fresher shoulder forward, but shoulder back, very, very nice. If you would, give her a big round of applause.
Coming back into the ring for the overall Charolais, we have Trigg Sedman and Micaiah Wright.
Just a pair of them here in your Charolais show, but I think a very, very good pair of them. A young man's heifer, we just talked about how overwhelming she was in terms of power, bone work, body shape, pin set, and then still good in the shape of that one's head and neck. You know, in motion, I just wish she was more comfortable in terms of her spine, but also has a lot of intriguing pieces that are hard to put together and still look that good from the side. And the young lady that come out of the second class, we talked about shoulder back. Just love the softness to her rib, the comfort, and how she utilizes her lower joints. Maybe just like to make her fresher and peel back some chest and crest and just make her more refined shoulder forward. But very, very good pair of them. I actually prefer the stoutness and power front in the young man to go ahead and be your champion, and the young lady will go ahead and be a reserve. But if you would, give both of them a big round of applause.
Champion Charolais heifer is Trigg Sedman. Reserve champion is Micaiah Wright. Next entering the ring will be Asher Defoe with a spring yearling heifer. Hereford heifer. Asher Defoe with a spring yearling Hereford heifer.
Classes for Maine Anjou, Maine Cross Class, Spring Yearling Heifer. Connor O'Lavison, Braden Vetter, Riley Vetter, please be making your way to the holding area. Connor O'Lavison, Braden Vetter, Riley Vetter,
right, after Asher Defoe, this is our only Hereford heifer entry, so he will be receiving the champion Hereford female at the Laramie County Fair.
Just a single entry for your Hereford show, but I think one that can withstand a lot more competition. And the young man is doing a great job showing her. A heifer that's very, very nice, just in profile, the softness to her forerib, how she attaches at the top side of her shoulders, very nice. The comfort and levelness of her spine, build of her hip and hind leg, all read very, very nice. You know, if you wanted to change that one in motion, you just like to make her softer in terms of her rear pastern, but on profile and just functionality, she does a lot of things right. So if you would, give him a round of applause.
Now we go to the main Anjou or main cross spring yearling heifer class. We have Connor Olavison, Braden Better, Riley Better.
Main Anjou Junior Heifer Calf, Grant Jacobson, be making your way to the holding area. First call, Simmental, Junior Yearling Heifer. First call, Simmental, Junior Yearling Heifer, Braden Jacobson.
All right, we have a battle of siblings here. Anjou cross.
Trio of them here to start your main show. The young lady that's going to go ahead and win the class just strictly does so in terms of her skeleton. She's more laid back in the angle to her shoulder, the set to her knee, and in motion. She's by far more comfortable in terms of that one's lower joint work. And then still from profile, you like the shape of that one's head and neck, how she attaches, the comfort of her spine. You know, if you want to change her in motion, just lay her back in terms of how she handles her tail head. But I think just does a lot of things nice to go ahead and win. Because the young man that's going to come in second, I think is very, very intriguing just in terms of that one's shape and refinement of her head and neck. I prefer the comfort of her spine, the placement of her tail head, and she's still bold in terms of her rib. You know, in motion, you just like to lay her back in terms of how she handles her spine and more comfortable in terms of how she handles her hock and rear pastern. But on profile, definitely has a lot of intriguing pieces to go ahead and go second. And the young man's heifer that rounds out the class that's fighting him, I think is very, very good in terms of her bone work, her comfort in motion, and she's still incredibly bold in terms of her upper rib. She's big pinned. I just needed to make that one more refined in the shape of her head and neck and softer in terms of her lower rib, but a very, very good trio of them. If you would, give those three a round of applause.
Riley Better was first in that class, followed by Braden Better. They will be coming in. We have two main classes. We should have Brant Jacobson coming in with his single entry in the junior heifer calf division. And then we'll pick our overall main cross female.
Second call, Simmental Junior Yearling Heifer, Braden Jacobson. Second call, Simmental Junior Yearling Heifer, Braden Jacobson.
Just a single entry, but a good one in terms of that one. How she ties out of the top side of her shoulder. She's really, really extended and refined in the shape of her head and neck. She's really, really bold in terms of her upper rib and her angles of skeleton. Read very, very nice in motion. You know, if you want to change her, just make her bolder in terms of her forerib. But honestly, I think that'll just come with time. So if you would, just give him a round of applause.
Riley Better is entering the ring now, and we will pick our champion main heifer.
We get your two class winners back out here in this breed, and I think a very, very good pair of them. The young lady who won that first class, we just talked about how unique she was in terms of how she utilizes her lower joint work and still both in terms of her upper rib. Profile is very, very nice. Just change her in terms of laying her down, her tail head, but also has a lot of unique pieces that are very, very hard to assemble at once. And the young man that came out of the second class with the calf, we just talked about how bright that one's future is because she's incredibly intriguing in terms of how she ties her neck out of the top side of her shoulder. Angles of skeleton are very, very nice. Just to maybe make her bolder in terms of her overall rib shape, but a very, very good pair of them. Young lady out of your first class will go ahead and be your champion, so if you would, give her a big round of applause.
First call, Simmental, spring yearling. First call, Simmental, spring yearling heifer, Braden Vetter, Campton Wilson. Second call, Simmental, junior yearling heifer. Second call, Simmental, junior yearling heifer, Braden Jacobson.
So Riley Better wins our champion main cross heifer. And now our decision was with the reserve champion.
We bring that second place out from your first class and another one. That's just awesome in terms of her shape of her head and neck, incredibly bold in terms of her upper rib or pin set, and still parked on profile. I like the angles of her skeleton, her lower joints just in motion. You just wish if you could comfort her in terms of her spine and how she utilizes her rear pastern. Very, very high quality pair of them, but the second place out of that class would go ahead and be a reserve. But if you would, give both of them a big round of applause.
Our reserve champion main cross heifer goes to Braden Vetter. Congratulations, Braden. Now we're moving on to our Simmental. We have a junior yearling heifer exhibited by Braden Jacobson.
Third call, Simmental, spring yearling heifer. Third call, Simmental, spring yearling heifer, Braden Vetter, Campton Wilson. You should be making your way to the holding area.
Just a single entry to go ahead and start your Simmental show, but their young man brings just a one that's very, very functional in terms of how she's built. Very, very comfortable at the surface profile. Love the way that one attaches out of the top side of her neck, her length and comfort of spine, and still at this age, she's incredibly bold in terms of her upper rib. You know, if you want to change her, maybe just peel back some throat and make her stouter at the surface, but I think with time and let her grow into herself, she'll be very, very good down the road. So if you would, give him a round of applause.
Call, other English straight. First call, other English straight. Spring yearling heifer, Macy Leemaster, Olivia Wright, Olivia Love.
Now entering the ring is our spring yearling heifer Simmental, Braden Vetter, and Camden Wilson. I'm personally glad I'm not the judge to try to pick this class. Couple of really nice heifers.
Well, we get out here in your Scimitar class, and you guys, as exhibitors, are making my life hard, which is what I like as a judge, because at shows, I guess you can. It's just one judge's opinion, and a person has their type and kind that they'll follow throughout the day. And this class, the two efforts are very, very different in terms of how they're built and just what they represent. And I guess it's from just one person's opinion at the end of the day. But the young man here to my left is going to go ahead and win the class. The heifer is just more my speed in terms of that one's shape of her head and neck, her refinement of the pair. She's longer and more refined in the shape of her head and neck, and then I just read that one to be more genuine in terms of her body shape, upper rib, and then she carries her width all the way down to the surface. And then on profile, is still very, very intriguing just in terms of her proportions. Is she the biggest footed or the most comfortable in the way she utilizes her rear pastern? No, she's not. But of the two, I just read her to be fresher in terms of her appearance and more genuine in terms of her body shape, because the young man that's going to come in second, I commend the crew behind that one that got her dialed into the nines, because she's presented to the best of her ability, and that one's just overwhelming in terms of her feature. She's really, really big footed. She's soft in terms of her rib cage, and from profile, you like a lot of things in terms of how she blends. I just need to make that one a tick longer. A shoulder forward, she needs to attach higher to the top side of her shoulder, and then in motion, she wants to get lower and drop her head, and I don't read her to be as genuine in terms of how she tracks and how she tracks away in her width from her hock all the way down to her pastern. But definitely a top pair that are a pair of them that you can do either things. Just prefer the extra refinement and freshness found in the young man that's going to go ahead and win. But the young man in second, hats off to you. You're pulling around a sporty one that's got incredible pieces, but a pair of them that are very, very high quality. If you would, give those two a big round of applause.
So Braden Jacobson will enter the ring, and we'll do our champion overall Simmental female. Braden Vetter won that last class.
First call, exotic, straight, or cross. First call, exotic, straight, or cross, Dawson second. In the holding ring, we should have Macy Leemaster with two head, Olivia Wright, and Olivia Love with their English straight or crosses.
We get out here in your Simmental division, and again, I'm not going to go ahead and talk them because I feel like I broke them down very, very well in class, and I think you guys know that there's two of them out here that are very, very high quality, very different, but do good things for that breed. So that being said, the two young men out of your second class will go ahead and be your grand in reserve. But if you would, give all three of them a big round of applause.
Our champion, Simmental heifer, was Braden Vetter, reserve champion Camden. Now we move on to our English straight or cross. English bred straight or cross. Spring yearling heifer. We have 4. Macy Leemaster, Olivia Wright, and Olivia Love.
We get out here and you're another breed, and this is going to be your champion. So again, the top two will be in your grand reserve, but the young lady that's going to go ahead and win, I think aside from that one's head, does a lot of things right in terms of refinement, the angle to her shoulder. She's incredibly fresh in terms of her body shape, and I love the comfort of that one's lower joint work. You know, I just wish I could shorten her nose up just a tick, but I think does a lot of things right and is very, very fresh to go ahead and win. Because the young lady that's going to come in second is just awesome in terms of that one's profile. The shape of her head and neck's very good. Angles of skeleton, her comfort of her lower joints, just to make her softer in terms of her heart forward and rear flank. But just love her from a flexibility standpoint to go ahead and go second. And the young lady that sits in third, I think is the most different of the class because she's overwhelming in the turn out of the backside of her shoulder. She's huge in terms of her upper rib. She's big pin, got a lot of shape to her stifle. Really, really heavy boned. It's more of skeletal speaking. I need to lay her out and smooth her at the point of her shoulder, the set to her knee, and just make her more refined in terms of her joint work. But a very, very powerful one that sits there in third. And the young lady that rounds out the class, practical and very, very bold in terms of that one's rib cage, flexible, sound, like all those things, just to make her fresher, peel back some chest and some crest, and just make her more refined. But a very, very good class. If you would give those kids a round of applause.
Olivia Love had our champion English cross, and Macy Lee Master had reserve champion. Congratulations. Now we have the exotic straighter cross. We have cows 2 years and older. Dawson Sedman should be entering our ring.
Attention in the beef barn. Hayden Hubbard, if you could be making your way to the holding area, Hayden Hubbard, be making your way to the holding area with your exotic spring yearling heifer. Braden Jacobson, if you can be making your way to the holding area with your exotic straight junior heifer. Braden Jacobson, if you can be also making your way to the holding area with your exotic straight junior heifer.
Mama saying, "Where'd my calf go?"
Just a single entry, but my hat's off to the young lady dragging around a cow that weighs way, way, way more than that young lady. So kudos to you. Very, very nice cow, just in terms of her stoutness of bone. She's incredibly bold in terms of her upper rib. She's big pin, kind of a powerhouse type of cow. You know, if you want to change her, just make her more comfortable in the way she utilizes her skeleton. But you just got to love the extra width and power she offers. So congratulations to you, young lady.
Hayden Hubbard, with your exotic straight. If you are in the holding area, okay. Braden Jacobson back there too? I can't see. Oh, there he is. Well, there's Hayden.
So we gonna have two or what?
No,
Okay.
Braden Jacobson, if you can be making yourself way to the holding area. Braden Jacobson, if you can be making your way to the holding area with your last heifer.
We have Hayden Hubbard in our spring yearling exotic straight or exotic cross. She's got it.
Another single entry, but a very, very nice one. Just parked there on profile when she does settle down. The shape of that one's head and neck, how she attaches out of the top side is very, very nice. The boldness to her forerib, her upper rib, she's really, really big pinned. Soft in terms of her lower rib. You know, if you want to change that one, you just like to make her squarer and more coordinated in how she handles her hocking rear pass turn from directly behind. But from profile and body per shape perspective, does a lot of things nice. So congratulations to you.
Braden Jacobson entering the ring with his junior yearling heifer exotic straighter cross.
Another single entry, but a very, very good one in terms of just that one's length and extension, shoulder forward, her length of spine, and still her lower joints are very good. You know, you just wish that one had more to her in terms of her heart, forerib, and rear flank. But again, I think just with time and let her grow into herself and belly down will be very, very good down the road. So if you would, give him a round of applause.
Right now we should have the champion exotic female, I believe.
Dawson Sedman,
Dawson Sedman,
Hayden Hubbard,
Hayden Hubbard, and Braden Jacobson. And they're going to bring that calf in with the cow. Hopefully she acts a little better with her calf beside her. All right, this will determine our champion exotic female.
I'm good.
You get out here in your exotic breed and a very, very good trio of them. And obviously, you got some breed differences, so you got to take that into consideration. You got some maturity differences. But with that being said, good cattle are good cattle. And that's my mindset throughout the day. Obviously, I have a type and kind that maybe not will be the same as you guys ringside. But with that being said, there's two of them out here that are very, very different, but just represent good cattle. So that being said, the young man out of your second class will go ahead and be your champion, and then your young lady out of your first class will go ahead and be your reserve. But if you would, give the trio of them a round of applause.
Dawson Sedman had reserve champion, exotic. And Hayden Hubbard had the champion, exotic. We are going to take a 5-minute break, and then we're going to do our overall female at the Laramie County State Fair, or Laramie County Fair. Brian. All right, we're going to throw the gate, do our final drive here for our heifer show. In the Blank Angus division, Brianna Hollingsworth. In our Charlet division, Trig Sedman. In our Hereford division, Asher Defoe. In our Maine Cross division, Riley Vetter. And in our Red Angus division, Adeline Crowder. In our Simmental division, we have Braden Vetter. And amongst this group, we will have our champion heifer overall at the Laramie County Fair. Other or English straight cross is Olivia Love. And our exotic cross is Hayden Hubbard. So I believe that's everybody now. And I don't mind saying there's some really nice females out there. Right after this, we will be breaking for lunch. And then at 1 o'clock, we have the Supreme Cow Contest starting right here.
Well, we get out here for your overall breeding heifer, and when I was in Wheatland Wednesday and Thursday working through their county fair, they asked me where I was going next, and I said Cheyenne, and they said, oh, there should be some good ones there, and I was like, I didn't know what I was getting myself into, but I'm very, very pleased with everything out here and some things that are sitting back in the stalls that aren't in the ring. Very, very pleased with the immense amount of quality that came through the ring today. So hats off to you exhibitors. With that being said, I'm not going to go ahead and break down each individual breed again. I think I did that pretty well in class. There was 2 of them that hit me pretty hard in terms of how they're built and freshness, surface, or how they're comfortable at the surface, rib shape, all those things. But if you guys would, ringside, give all these exhibitors a big round of applause, and I'll go ahead and show you a Grand Reserve.
Who's the reserve on that phone?
Braden Vetter has our champion overall heifer. And now the heifer that was reserved to Braden Vetter has now entered the ring. And we'll pick our reserve champion heifer. Camden Wilson has our reserve champion heifer. So congratulations to all our exhibitors for showing some excellent heifers. And this will conclude our breeding beef show. Again, at 1 o'clock, we will start the Supreme Cow Contest.